If you're watching this video, it means that the embargo is now lifted and this new camera has been announced. A few months ago, Fujifilm approached me and asked if I was interested in testing a new camera they were developing, the GFX 50S Mark II, as well as the new kit lens for the GFX system, which is the 35 to 70mm zoom. And I already shoot with Fujifilm cameras. I spoke about how I started using Fujifilm in another video, so I won't go into that here. But I am totally in love with the brand for the incredible colors, the care for the photographer needs, the user experience, etc. And because they make cameras that are fun to use and don't get in the way of my photography. They are kind of an extension of my arm. I don't have to think about the camera when I shoot, only about my photography. And the GFX 50S Mark II goes in that same direction. Once I calibrate all the settings to suit my style, I can forget it's there. I can simply raise my arm to my eye and take the shot. I don't have to worry about anything else. And now unfortunately I only have less than an hour before Fujifilm comes to collect all the gear, so this video is mainly a quick overview to share my initial thoughts now that the camera has finally been announced. All the content I filmed in Florence will be released on this channel in the coming days, and it is quite a lot. So if you're interested in this new camera and the new lens and want to see more examples, or if you're curious about anything Fujifilm as well as street photography, landscape, cityscape, vlogging and all things photography and some tutorials as well, now it is a good time to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Fujifilm GFX cameras are digital medium format cameras, even though sometimes you see them referred to as large format cameras. There are two main iterations so far. There is a 50 megapixels lineup and a 102 megapixels lineup. Now, as the name suggests, the GFX 50S Mark II is 50 megapixels, which is plenty enough to print large, high quality images, and with its medium format sensor you get details that are absolutely mind-blowing. Now, the sensor is 1.7 times larger than a full frame, meaning it can capture almost twice as much light and details, and the results are absolutely astonishing. And with the latest releases, the GFX 100S and this GFX 50S Mark II, Fujifilm have achieved an engineering miracle in my opinion by shrinking a medium format camera into a body that is only slightly larger than their flagship X-T4 and still weighs less than 1 kilogram. When out with the 50S Mark II, I had the camera in one hand all the time and never felt it tiring. Unless maybe when I was using the heavier 110mm lens. And this means that medium format doesn't have to be relegated in a studio anymore, but can be carried around in the street or when traveling, which is exactly what I did with the 50S Mark II, taking it to Italy, to my hometown, Florence. And this is the second iteration of the 50S that was first released in 2017, and it actually uses the same sensor but is now packaged in the small body introduced with the 100S, and it has the same processor of the 100S. This means that it may not be as fast as the 100S because of the sensor, but it's still a considerable upgrade from the 50S Mark I, particularly in terms of focus speed. Now, if you watched my video doing street photography with the original GFX 50S, you know that my main issue with the system was how slow this was. And together with the camera and a couple other lenses, I also carry with me the new kit lens for the GFX system, which is this GF 35 to 70mm that is equivalent to 25 to 50mm, so it is an ideal length in many different scenarios. And this lens has a couple engineering solutions that are new to Fujifilm. So first of all, it has a lock-in mechanism that prevents the lens from creeping out when walking, and it also doesn't have an aperture ring, so the aperture is controlled via the in-body dials. Now, it takes a little while to get used to these new features, and you may find that they slightly slow you down, but the decisions from Fujifilm are understandable when you know how low is the price for this lens. Now, Fujifilm did not take any shortcut in terms of quality, and this is still a premium metal lens, so they had to rather go with a different design. And speaking of prices, I only received a rough indication of what this will be for the camera and the lens. I know that the body will be around 4,000 euros and the lens 500 euros when bought together. So this combo is definitely cheaper than some flagship full-frame cameras of other brands, and represents a very, very appealing entry point to the medium format world. But back to the lens. I use this in many different situations, from street photography to landscape, portraits, architecture, and even a wedding. And its size is only slightly larger than the GF 50mm pancake lens, and it's also very, very light, so it is an ideal lens to travel with. Now, back to the camera. This unit I received from Fujifilm is a very early pre-production camera, so it wouldn't really make sense for me to talk in depth about technical aspects, because it had a few bugs and it had a few limitations as well. They were to be removed later once the camera entered production, so it's going to be very different from the one you will buy. But even then, this was a formidable camera to use, and I have to thank Fujifilm heartily for the opportunity. And I hope there will be more in the future as well. But for now, I'm going to leave you to the other videos on this channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you later.